This was a direct violation, and the Air Force scrambled an F-89 Scorpion jet to investigate. The pilot was Lieutenant Felix Moncler, and with him was his radar observer, Second Lieutenant Robert Wilson. On the ground, controllers watched their screens, their eyes glued to the two green blips tracking across the display. They saw the jet close the gap, getting nearer and nearer to the mysterious intruder. And then, something impossible happened. On the radar, the two blips, the jet and the UFO, emerged into one. The operator waited, expecting them to separate as the jet flew past its target. They never did. Lieutenant Moncler was a seasoned pilot with over 800 hours of flight time, but the conditions that night were brutal. The perfect setting for a nightmare. On the ground, the radar controller, Leo Veronic, was guiding Moncler toward the target. On his screen, the unknown blip and Moncler's jet were now a single, solid mass. It was as if they had physically combined. He waited, holding his breath for the jet's signal to re-emerge as it flew past the object. Instead, there was just silence. He frantically called out, "Scorpion 1, Scorpion 1, what is your status?" The jet and its unknown companion had disappeared together. A massive air and sea search began, involving both US and Canadian forces. At first, they claimed the UFO was actually a Royal Canadian Air Force C-47 transport plane that had flown off course. A simple case of mistaken identity. The media ran with the story, and for a moment it seemed like a plausible, if tragic, accident. But then the Canadian government fired back. They checked their flight logs meticulously. Period. The Air Force's story fell apart They theorized he became disoriented, misread his instruments, and tragically crashed into the lake while chasing a ghost radar returner phantom image on the screen. But this explanation had a massive hole in it. It didn't explain the merged blips. Radar doesn't merge two objects unless they are physically touching, or at the very least, extremely close. And it certainly doesn't explain why a ghost image and a real jet would both vanish from the radar screen at the exact same moment. The official story felt less like an explanation and more like a desperate attempt to close the book on a deeply unsettling incident. For over 50 years, the families of Felix Moncler and Robert Wilson waited for answers, living with the uncertainty of what truly happened. Then, in 2006, a bombshell dropped. A group calling itself the Great Lakes Dive Company claimed they had found the wreckage of the F-89 jet at the bottom of Lake Superior. The story spread like wildfire across the internet and news outlets. But just as quickly as it appeared, things got weird. The Great Lakes Dive Company's website suddenly disappeared. The so-called spokesman for the group, a man named Adam Jimenez, vanished. Emails to the company bounced back. Phone numbers were disconnected. Researchers and journalists tried to track them down, but it was a dead end. Eventually, experts analyzed the sonar images and declared them to be elaborate fakes. Digitally manipulated fabrications. The entire discovery was a hoax. But it was a strangely professional and well-funded hoax. To this day, no one knows who was behind the Great Lakes Dive Company, why they concocted this elaborate story, or why they wanted the world to believe the jet had finally been found. Was it a prank? Or something more sinister? A deliberate attempt to muddy the waters and control the narrative? We may never know, so we are left with the final, haunting question. He closed in on something unknown, something that was moving with intelligent purpose and speed that exceeded the technology of the 1950s. The Kinross incident remains one of the most compelling and officially documented UFO cases in history. A chilling reminder that sometimes the sky holds secrets it is not ready to give up. Thank you for watching. If you found this mystery as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown.